Growing up as a young girl in Bareilly, I learned early on what it meant to feel invisible in a room full of people. You walk in with your heart open, hoping someone will acknowledge your presence, hoping someone will see past the noise and recognize something in you that even you haven't fully discovered yet. But often that doesn't happen. Sometimes people look past you, overlook you, or ignore you like you're furniture in the room. And when that happens repeatedly, it starts to chip away at something inside you. You begin to doubt your worth, your value, and whether or not you're even deserving of love or attention. That kind of emotional neglect doesn't always scream at you. It whispers over time, convincing you that if you just tried harder, if you just became more likable, if you just did a little more, they'd finally see you. That's the biggest lie. We live in a world that conditions us, especially women, to believe that our worth is tied to someone else's recognition of us. If they love you, you must be worthy. If they notice you, you must be special. If they choose you, you must finally be enough. And I call complete nonsense on that. You were enough before anyone looked your way. You were worthy before anyone whispered your name. You were valid even in the silence. But we're not taught to think like that. We're taught to shrink ourselves, to mold ourselves into shapes that make other people comfortable. We tone ourselves down, we dim our light, and we soften our voice in the hopes that maybe, just maybe, someone will finally pick us. Let me tell you something. Begging for love is one of the most painful betrayals you can commit against yourself. When you beg, you're not asking. You're surrendering your power. You're saying, I need you to tell me I'm lovable because I don't believe it on my own. And once you start that cycle, it becomes endless. You chase, and still the approval never fills the void. Because love that is real doesn't require you to chase. It doesn't live at the end of a finish line. It doesn't demand a performance. It meets you where you are. It accepts your fullness, your flaws, your strength, your intensity, your vulnerability. I've been in situations, both personally and professionally, where I felt like I had to earn love. I've been in rooms where I felt like I had to perform to keep someone's attention. Smile more, speak less, be agreeable, don't be too loud, don't be too smart, don't be too independent. And the more I gave up little pieces of myself, the more I realized I was becoming a ghost in my own life. That's the price you pay when you trade your authenticity for someone's temporary approval. It never lasts. And the worst part? When they eventually walk away, and they usually do, you're left with an even bigger hole than before. Not because they left, but because you abandoned yourself to keep them. Never let someone else's inability to love you fully make you question your worth. Their limits are not your deficiency. Their absence is not your fault. You do not have to chase what is meant for you, and you certainly don't have to beg someone to see your magic. If they don't see it, that's okay. Someone else will. More importantly, you need to see it. That's where everything changes. When you begin to see yourself clearly, the world adjusts. When you start treating yourself like you're enough, like you matter, like you deserve kindness and respect, people take notice, not because you're screaming for attention, but because you're radiating confidence. I say this often, and I'll say it again. Attention is not love. Let that sink in. Someone giving you their time for a few moments, sending you a message at midnight, liking your photos, or complimenting you in public, that's not love. That's not commitment. That's not depth. We confuse validation with connection all the time, especially in a digital world. But attention is cheap, it's fleeting, it's available to anyone, anytime. Love, real love, is rare, it's quiet, it's stable, it doesn't come and go, it doesn't make you question your place in someone's life, it doesn't require you to perform. It's the kind of presence that shows up when no one is watching. And if you haven't experienced that yet, don't worry, you're not behind. You're just clearing space for the right kind of love to enter. And that only happens when you stop entertaining the wrong kind. The truth is, some people are only interested in what you can do for them. They love your potential more than your person. They love the way you make them feel, but not who you are when you're tired, confused, or messy. And that's not love either. That's consumption. When people want to consume you, they'll flatter you, they'll pull you close, they'll make you feel so and then they'll disappear, and you'll think, what did I do wrong? But the question isn't what you did wrong, it's why you gave so much of yourself to someone who never deserved that access in the first place. If someone cannot love you in your quiet moments, in your awkward silences, in your uncertain days, they don't deserve your loud, powerful, beautiful, thriving self either. And when you truly believe that, your standards will change. You won't chase text messages. You won't wait on calls. You won't try to decode mixed signals. You won't dress up wounds and pretend they're romance. You'll walk away, not because you're bitter, but because you finally respect your own energy too much to waste it. You are not a project to be fixed. You are not a performance to be applauded. You are a person to be cherished. You are not meant to be loved conditionally based on how useful or available you are. You deserve to be loved simply because you exist. Your presence alone is enough. Your love is enough. Your time is enough. If someone cannot recognize that, let them go. You are not here to audition for affection. You are here to stand in your full power and trust that what's meant for you will not make you beg. When you start walking away from people who don't value your presence, you begin to understand how powerful your silence truly is. Silence isn't weakness, it's clarity, it's restraint, it's choosing not to react just to be heard, it's choosing peace over proving a point, it's knowing your worth so deeply that you don't need to explain it. So many of us spend our lives explaining ourselves to people who have already made up their minds. We try to justify our feelings, our boundaries, our decisions, just to keep a connection alive. But let's be honest, if a connection requires you to constantly defend your truth, it's not a connection, it's a cage. The need to be loved is human. We all crave closeness, intimacy, and the feeling of being seen. But there's a difference between wanting love and begging for it. Wanting love is about being open. Begging for love is about losing yourself. And sometimes it doesn't start as begging, it starts subtly. You adjust a little bit to make someone more comfortable. You stop talking about what you love because they don't care. You shrink when you're around them because they need to feel bigger. You laugh when it's not funny. You agree when you don't want to. You keep compromising until you don't recognize yourself anymore. That's what emotional starvation looks like. You start starving for affection, for attention, for basic human validation. And when someone gives you even a little bit of it, you hold on too tightly because it feels like water in a desert. But here's the thing, real love isn't a desert. Real love is water. Real love doesn't dry you out and make you thirsty for the next drop of attention. It nourishes you. It shows up. It's consistent. And that kind of love doesn't happen when you're pretending to be someone else. It happens when you decide that your authentic self is worthy of being loved. The bold parts, the quiet arts, the messy, chaotic, tender, loud, sensitive, powerful parts. All of it. And if someone can't handle that, it's not your job to shrink so they can stay. Some people will love your light until it starts to shine brighter than theirs. They'll love your potential until it threatens their comfort. They'll be attracted to your energy until it demands depth. And when that happens, they'll start pulling away, not because you did something wrong, but because your growth makes them uncomfortable. In those moments, you have a choice. You can either dim yourself down to stay in their story, or you can let them go and continue writing your own. And I hope you always choose you. You are not difficult to love. You are not too much. You are not too intense or too emotional or too opinionated. You are just enough for the right heart. And if someone makes you feel like you're asking for too much, maybe it's because they're offering too little. Don't fall into the trap of thinking you have to settle for crumbs just because you've been hungry for a long time. You are not meant to live on scraps of affection. You are meant to be loved wholly, fully, deeply. And that starts with how you love yourself. When you respect yourself, you teach others how to treat you. You show them what's acceptable and what's not. You set the standard. And yes, some people will walk away when you set those boundaries, but let them. Because what's meant for you will never require you to abandon yourself. What's meant for you will not punish you for having standards. It will rise to meet them. It will challenge you to grow, not shrink. It will honor your worth, not exploit your kindness. And it will feel like home, not because it's easy, but because it's honest. The hardest part about walking away from someone you care about is the illusion that they were the only one who could love you. But love doesn't come from one person. Love exists in so many forms in your friendships, your family, your passions, your purpose, and most importantly within yourself. You were born from love. You carry love within you. You don't need to beg for what you already are. The right people will see that in you, not because you proved it, but because you lived it. People will come and go. That's a part of life. But your relationship with yourself is the one that stays forever. So make it a good one. Be the person who chooses herself. Be the person who shows up for herself when others don't. Be the one who doesn't abandon her own soul just to fill the silence someone else left behind. Because you're not waiting to be chosen. You are already chosen by you. It's not always easy to let go of people who don't love you the way you need to be loved. It can feel like loss, like failure, like rejection. But what if it's none of those things? What if it's a return? A return to your own voice, a return to your own heart, a return to the power you gave away, hoping someone else would handle it with care. You're not losing them. You're finding yourself, and that's the most important discovery you'll ever make. Your love is valuable. Your attention is powerful. Not everyone deserves access to it. Not everyone has earned the right to sit at your table, And that's okay. You don't have to be bitter about it. You don't have to be angry. You just have to be clear. Clear about your standards, clear about your needs, clear about the energy you want in your life, because clarity is kindness to yourself and to others. And once you operate from that clarity, you won't feel the need to chase or explain or beg. You'll simply choose. And in that choice, there is freedom. So if someone leaves when you stop begging, let them go. If someone ghosts you when you speak your truth, let them disappear. If someone withdraws when you demand respect, let them create that distance. That's not rejection. That's redirection. That's your life pruning the people who don't belong in the next chapter. And you, strong, brilliant, whole, you're the author now. You get to decide how the story unfolds. And I hope you write it with bold strokes, with dignity, with softness and strength, with grace and fire, and most of all, with the unshakable belief that you are enough, exactly as you are. There comes a moment in life when you realize the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. That's not just a quote you read online, it's a lived truth. Because when you've begged for love, when you've chased people who didn't care, when you've spent nights crying over words that weren't said or feelings that weren't returned, you begin to understand something very deeply. You are the only person who will stay with you through it all. And the way you treat yourself sets the tone for everything else. If you speak to yourself with kindness, if you value your own time, your own space, your own emotions, you automatically start attracting a different kind of energy into your life. People will start treating you with the same respect you've learned to give yourself. You're not here to constantly explain why you're worthy of love. You're not here to remind someone to check in, to care, to show up. When you have to beg someone to love you, you're asking them to give something they don't have or something they don't want to give. And do you know what that does? It chips away at your spirit. It makes you forget how magical you are. It convinces you that maybe if you were more this or less that, they'd finally love you properly. But love that is true doesn't make you question your value. It reinforces it. It grounds you. It lifts you. It adds peace, not confusion. People talk about loyalty a lot, but they don't talk enough about loyalty to yourself. Because that's where it begins. That's where it all begins. When you're loyal to your truth, to your needs, to your voice, you no longer tolerate the things you once accepted. You no longer stay silent when something hurts. You no longer minimize your feelings just to keep the peace. You start advocating for yourself, and that is a powerful transformation. That's how boundaries are born. That's how standards are created. That's how you begin to live in a way that honors who you truly are, not who the world told you to be to earn affection. And the world will try to tell you a lot, that you should be softer, more accommodating, less opinionated, that if you're too independent, you'll intimidate people, that if you're too ambitious, you won't be wife material, that if you're too vocal, you're difficult. But let me tell you something, none of that is your problem. Other people's discomfort with your wholeness is not your responsibility to fix. You were not put on this planet to make yourself digestible for someone else's fragile ego. You were put here to live, to shine, to take up space unapologetically. And when someone sees all of you and doesn't run, that's who deserves a seat at your table. You are not here to convince anyone to stay. You are not here to prove your value. Your presence is already proof. Your existence is already the evidence. And when you believe that, your energy shifts. You stop waiting on texts. You stop checking who viewed your story. You stop replaying conversations in your head, wondering if you said something wrong, because you realize that love is not about anxiety. It's not about trying to measure up. It's about flow. It's about mutual effort. It's about peace. It's about choosing each other without force, without pressure, without games. There's a kind of freedom that comes when you no longer need someone to love you to feel lovable. When you no longer wait for external validation to feel seen, you begin to live for yourself, not selfishly, but truthfully. You start making choices based on what feels right in your gut, not what will make you more acceptable to someone else. You start honoring your time. You start creating space between you and the things that drain you. And slowly, quietly, confidently, you come home to yourself. This world thrives on insecurity. It sells us products, lifestyles, filters, fantasies, all built on the idea that who we are is not enough, that we need more, be more, do more, shrink more. But you are not here to play small. You are not here to constantly audition for love. You are not here to keep chasing people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You are here to rise. You are here to learn, to unlearn, to grow, to heal, and to become so rooted in your own self-worth that nothing shakes you, not their silence, not their rejection, not their inability to see your light. and you will be tested. Life will put people in your path who mirror your wounds, people who come to teach you lessons, people who show you what you still tolerate, what you still believe about yourself deep down. That's not failure, that's awareness. Every time you walk away from what doesn't serve you, you're telling the universe, I know my worth now. Every time you choose your peace over their attention, you're growing. Every time you speak your truth instead of swallowing it, you're healing. This is the journey back to you. This is self-respect in action. The real glow-up isn't about changing your appearance or getting revenge. The real glow-up is learning to be okay without the people who once made you feel like you weren't enough. It's waking up one day and realizing you no longer miss them. It's standing in front of the mirror and liking the person looking back. It's having conversations with yourself that are compassionate, not critical. It's choosing solitude over settling. It's knowing you could chase, but deciding you'd rather attract. It's no longer hoping they'll come back, but understanding that if they do, they'll meet a completely different version of you. Because the version of you who begged, she's gone. The one who waited around for closure, she's evolved. The one who bent over backward just to keep someone's interest, she's learned. You are not who you used to be, and that's something to be proud of. You've grown, you've risen, you've reclaimed your power, and now you don't just know your worth, you embody it. Every step you take, every decision you make, every time you choose peace over chaos, love over fear, truth over convenience, you're rewriting the story. And that story doesn't include begging, it doesn't include shrinking, it doesn't include performing. It includes you in your fullness, in your brilliance, in your truth. And the people who are meant for you, they'll see that, they'll recognize it, they'll match your effort, they'll respect your boundaries, they'll show up, not because you begged, but because your presence demands it. Not because you asked, but because your energy invites nothing less.